Alright, so here is my second example for doing integrals using partial fractions. And here's some steps I have for the decomposition. I'm not gonna go through them in this video. If you want a little bit of an explanation of these, you can go watch the first video, the first example. I'll go through them in that one. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look here. Example 2. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to take the denominator and let's factor it out. So I have x cubed plus 2x squared plus x, and I'll factor out x, so that leaves me with x squared plus 2x plus 1, which is equal to x times, and this factors out into x plus 1 times x plus 1, so that would be x plus 1 squared. Alright, so now what we want to do is write this out. So I know that 5x squared plus 20x plus 6 over x cubed plus 2x squared plus x is equal to, okay, so I'm looking at this, so I have a factor of x, so that's going to be a over x plus, and then here I have a x plus 1 squared. This is a linear factor, and so that's going to be b over, and then I have to use the x plus 1 plus c times x plus 1 squared. And if this was a cubed, I would have an x b over x plus 1 plus c over x plus 2, and then I would have to add a plus d over x plus 1 cubed. Okay, whatever this exponent is, that tells you how many factors you're going to have. Okay, no, we're not looking at the x when I'm talking about that. The x is by itself, but I'm talking about this one. Whatever this exponent is, that tells you how many you're going to have there. Alright, so now what I need to do is I need to multiply everything through by the common denominator. And in this case, the common denominator is the x times x plus 1 squared. Alright, so when I multiply the common denominator to this term, that just cancels out this whole denominator. So I'm left with 5x squared plus 20x plus 6 equals, and then when I multiply this times this term, the x's cancel out, so I'm left with a times x plus 1 squared plus, and now I'm going to multiply this term times, I'm going to multiply the common denominator times this term, so a x plus 1 will cancel out, but I'll still be left with one of the x plus 1's, and so this is going to be b times x plus 1. Okay, and then I multiply the common denominator to this term, and the x plus 1 squared and the x plus 1 squared will cancel out, and so I'm left with c times x. Alright, so now what I need to do is I need to figure out what a, b, and c are so I can plug them into here. Alright, so I'm going to let x equal 0. Okay, and the reason I'm letting x equal 0, because if I plug it into here, the 0 in here, and I plug the 0 in here, well, c times 0 is 0, and here b times 0, and then if I plug the 0 in, that would be 1. So, but what I'm getting at is this whole term's going to go to 0, and I'm going to be left with just this one, so I'll be able to figure out what a is. Okay, so I'm going to let x equal 0. Okay, and so now I'm going to plug 0 into this equation here. So I have 5 times 0 squared plus 20 times 0 plus 6 equals a times 0 plus 1 squared plus b times 0 plus 1 plus c times 0. Okay, and so over here I'm going to get just 6 equals, and then here you can see this term's going to go to 0 and this term's going to go to 0, so I'm left with 0 plus 1 is 1 and 1 squared is 1 times a, and so I get a is equal to 6. Alright, so now can you figure out what we're going to let x equal now? Well, I let x equal 0 the first time and it got rid of this term and this term. Well, now if I let x equal -1, what's going to happen? It's going to get rid of this term because -1 plus 1 is 0, and here -1 plus 1 would be 0. And that would leave me with just this term, and I'll be able to solve for c. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll use a different color. So I'm going to let x equal -1. And so that's going to give me 5 times -1 squared plus 20 times -1 plus 6. I'm plugging the -1 into this. Okay. And that's going to equal a times -1 plus 1 squared plus b times -1 times -1 plus 1 plus c times -1. And so over here, when I calculate all of this out, I'm going to end up with 5 minus 20 plus 6 equals, okay, and so let's see, this is going to be 0 squared, and a times 0 is 0, so that term will go out, and that's going to be 0 here, so 0 times all this, that'll go out, and that's going to equal -c. Alright, and so now this is going to be what, -20 plus 11, and that's going to be -9 equals -c, so that tells me that c is equal to 9. Alright, so I've got c equals 9. So I've figured out what c and a are. Now I've got to figure out what b is. But look at this, there's nothing left. There's nothing else I can put in there that's going to leave me with b, with this term by itself. Because if I plug -1 in, yeah, this term will go out, but so will this one, and I won't be able to solve for b. And also, if I let x equal 0, well, it'll leave me with this term, but the b will go out and the c will go out, so I won't be able to solve for b there either. Alright, so what do we do? Well, let me kind of come down here, and I'm just going to rewrite this so we can have it down here so we can look at it. So I have 5x squared plus 20x plus 6 equals a times x plus 1 squared plus bx times x plus 1 plus c times x. So all I did is I just took this and I put it down here, because I have to scroll up and it's going to go out of view. Alright, so what are we going to do here? Well, there's nothing that's going to make this and this go out and just leave the b. So what I can do is I can just use any number. Okay, I can use any number. So let's just say, and I'm going to do this in a different color, I'm going to let x equal, let's just say 1. We haven't used that yet. Alright, and you can pick any number you want. You could pick 2, you could pick 3, -1, well, we've already chosen -1, but you could pick -3, -4, it doesn't matter. Alright, So let's plug the 1 in. So I get 5 times 1 squared plus 20 times 1 plus 6 equals, now look at this, A. Well, we already know what A is. A is 6. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the 6 in for A, and that's going to be times 1 plus 1 squared plus, I don't know what B is, so that's going to be B times 1 plus 1 plus C times X. Well, we know what C is. C is 9. So I'm going to go ahead and plug the 9 in for C, and then I'm plugging 1 in for X. And so this, after I do all of this, this is going to give me 31 equals 24 plus 2b plus 9. And so that's going to leave me with b equals negative 1. And you can, I know you can solve that, so I'm not going to go through all that. Alright, so now we're ready to take the b is equal to negative 1, c is 9, and a is 6. And so I'm ready to plug in the a, the b, and the c into here. Alright, so let's come down here. And so let's just rewrite the problem. I've got the integral 5x squared plus 20x plus 6 over x cubed plus 2x squared plus x dx. And now the values that I got for a, b, and c, I'm going to plug those in. So this is equal to, and so that's going to give me a over x, remember a was 6, and then plus b over x plus 1, and b was negative 1 over x plus 1. And let me go ahead and do that. I've got a negative and a positive, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to a minus. And then plus c, and remember c was 9 over x plus 1 squared, and that's dx. Okay, I'm getting close to running off the page. Alright, so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate each one of these individually. And so this is going to be, what is this one? This is 6 times the natural log of absolute value of x minus, and then this one's going to be the natural log of x plus 1. And then this one, this is not natural log because I've got the x plus 1 squared. I'm not going to go through all this to integrate this. You should be able to do it. You'll have to use u substitution. What you'll do is you'll just take this term and you can rewrite it as 9 times x plus 1 to the negative 2, and then you'll let u equal x plus 1. So du would be, what's the derivative of x? It's 1 times dx. Okay, and of course you would bring the 9 out and you just use the u substitution. Okay. Alright, but and then when you do get finished with it, you would end up with minus 9 over x plus 1 plus c. Okay, and of course this is an acceptable answer here. You could leave it like this, but also I'm going to go ahead and simplify it a little more. We can just review on your logarithmic properties. You can take the 6 and throw it up into the exponent here, so that would be natural log absolute value x to the 6th minus natural log absolute value x plus 1 minus 9 over x plus 1 plus c. And then the minus here, that means these two logs come together as division, and so that's the natural log absolute value x to the sixth over x plus 1 minus 9 over x plus 1 plus c. So this right here, I just brought the logarithms together. I don't know if your teacher makes you do that, then now you know how to do it. If not, then it would be fine just to leave it like this. All right, so that's all of this video. I hope it helped. Check out my other videos. If you like them, you can subscribe. Thanks.